In the magical land of Ooo, where adventures never cease and mysteries abound, there exists a tale so unique it demanded its own spotlight. Enter the world of Fionna and Cake, where gender-swapped heroes embark on quests just as thrilling, if not more, than their counterparts. Grab your swords and your stretchy cats as we delve into 107 facts about the HBO Max series, Adventure Time Fionna and Cake. Just a little warning, there are spoilers ahead. Number 1. Adventure Time Fionna and Cake is an animated series that serves as a spin-off to the iconic Adventure Time created by Pendleton Ward. This new series takes viewers on a fresh journey, focusing on the alternate gender-swapped characters Fionna and her cat Cake. Number 2. Adam Muto, who had been deeply involved with the original Adventure Time series, took the reins to develop this spin-off. Number 3. Fionna and Cake is produced by Cartoon Network Studios and Frederator Studios. One of those sounds mighty familiar, and may even be the best company ever. No bias, no bias. Number 4. The series boasts a talented voice cast that breathes life into the characters. Madeline Martin returns to lend her voice to Fionna, while Roz Ryan voices Cake. Number 5. The series clocks in at 10 episodes, with episodes 1 through 8 being released at the time of writing this. Hopefully those last two don't introduce too much mind-blowing stuff all at once. Number 6. The alarm clock that wakes Fionna up from her rat bus dream bears a striking resemblance to BMO, the fan-favorite video game Mo first seen in Adventure Time. It even has BMO's voice.
Snooze, 10 minutes.
Number 7. The rat bus is modeled after the cat bus from Studio Ghibli's My Neighbor Totoro. Number 8. Fionna's outfit in her dream is heavily inspired by Sailor Moon. Interestingly, in her debut episode in the original series, Fionna wore a dress reminiscent of Sailor Moon's Princess Serenity during her date with the fake Prince Gumball. Number 9. When Fionna gets a boost from her skates in the dream, she exclaims, "Hans Brinker action go!" This is a nod to the children's novel Hans Brinker or the Silver Skates, a story about life in Holland written by Mary Mapes Dodge in 1865. The book introduced Dutch speed skating to America and even inspired the Disney Channel original movie Brink. Number 10. The opening tune in the first episode, also known as Not Myself, is performed by Zuzu, a no-nonsense Scouse indie rocker who has also been behind a couple other Adventure Time tunes like Woke Up and Eternity with You. Number 11. You probably recognize the song. It was prominently featured in promotional material for Fionna and Cake as early as July of 2023. Number 12. The introductory sequence shows off a whole bunch of characters that also appear to be gender-bent versions of Adventure Time classics. Heck, even Flame Princess shows up as DJ Flame, who also breaks Fionna's heart. Number 13. Fionna tries to watch something on TV when she first wakes up and is treated to every single channel playing the classic sitcom Cheers. This show debuted in 1982 and ran for over a decade. Number 14. Fionna's apartment is covered in posters featuring stuff like Toyd Force, Swamp Champ 2, Lost Sword, Alien Game, and more. What's your favorite poster from her apartment? Number 15. Starchy, the Candy Kingdom's #1 gravedigger, makes a couple of multiversal appearances, his human one first appearing on the bus tour. He claims to be from the graveyard or next to it and even sports his classic mustache. Number 16. The bus is actually packed with Adventure Time references. One passenger sports Abracadaniel's rainbow headband and funky haircut combo. There's a gender-bent version of Fern, human equivalents of Hot Dog Princess and a Banana Guard, and of course, Marshall Lee makes an appearance. Number 17. Marshall Lee's guitar, which he uses ever so wonderfully while busking, has a bat sticker on it, a reference to his alternate self, Marceline the Vampire Queen. Kinda funny how he uses a 6-string guitar now as opposed to Marceline's bass. Number 18. Marshall Lee has a mole on his neck with very similar placement to Marceline's vampire bite. It's kinda like a half bite, which is sorta cute. Number 19. This musical miscreant is once again voiced by Donald Glover, aka Childish Gambino. Number 20. Outside of the city aquarium, there's a statue of penguins that looks suspiciously similar to Ice King's right-hand man. Bird. It's a Gunther lookalike. Heck, they might even be gender bent too, it's just hard to tell with penguins from so far away. Number 21. After getting fired, Fiona walks by a store called Numbered Facets, complete with giant D20 sign rolling a nat 1. In the store's window, there are many fantasy board games and accessories, including one small box with a prominently featured lemon. Lemon grab, anyone? Number 22. Speaking of lemon people, there's a young man handing out mixtapes on the street who looks to be a pretty one-to-one humanoid version of young Lemon Hope. Number 23. Plus, there's a duo of inept dog walkers raising their voices and moving in very exaggerated ways in the park. If that's not the lemon grabs, I'll eat my hat. You know, if I was wearing one. You can't tell. Number 24. This duo is actually known as the Lemon Carbs, and they're big money investors with their very fancy dog. Gary P wants to meet with them for their moolah. Who would have thought? Number 25. The new versions of classic characters just keep coming. At Butler's Buttery Buns, we meet a barista named Gary, who looks a whole lot like a particularly pink royal from a bygone era. Number 26. Gary is voiced by Andrew Rannells, which is a bit of a change. Prince Gumball was voiced by Neil Patrick Harris in Adventure Time. Number 27. The pink barista puts together an order for a customer known only as CB, but we all know that this is just an elderly lady version of Cinnamon Bun, the lovably clumsy citizen of the Candy Kingdom. Number 28. Even Lumpy Space Princess makes a comeback, this time as Ellis P, the local animal whisperer. Pendleton Ward himself voices this particularly purple person. Number 29. Those bees at the city park look pretty familiar, and for good reason. They're basically the bee that shows up for the end credits of every episode of Adventure Time, minus the cute smiley face, of course. Number 30. Interestingly enough, our other main character, Simon, also seems to watch Cheers quite a bit. This is likely programming meant to keep his 20th century man habitat as legitimate as possible. If this is the case, that could be a hint as to what era Fionna and Cake in their world live in. Number 31. Cheers has some deep roots in Adventure Time, seeing as Simon can be heard singing the theme song as he makes his decline into Ice Kingdom, while fighting the goo monsters in the before times. Number 32. Fiona's old school phone that can play Pixelated Snake or the Worm game also hints at their era. Number 33. The cocktail that Simon orders at the candy bar is full of olives and cocktail onions, and it sounds kinda nasty, right? Well, it's actually pretty close to a real martini recipe, known as a gin salad dry martini. I guess the base liquid is darker than gin in this case, but who knows what's actually in there? Root beer, I guess, which somehow makes it way worse. Number 34. Dirt Beer Guy stays ready for anything. You can see that he keeps a baseball bat close by behind the bar. Smart. Number 35. Simon isn't just being weird by adding eggshells to his coffee. Cowboy coffee is a real thing. The broken up eggshells help the ground settle at the bottom, and they're also alkaline, meaning they can help reduce the acidity of the brew. The more you know. Number 36. The song that plays near the end of episode 2, Part of the Madness, was composed by Rebecca Sugar. Sugar is known for her contributions to Adventure Time throughout the years, which eventually led to her creating the very popular and very musical Steven Universe. Number 37. You can see someone that looks like Boney fishing by the river as Simon walks along. However, it seems that Boney has upgraded. He no longer just uses his arm as a fishing pole. Instead, he's got a more dedicated but equally bone-based fishing rod. Number 38. When Simon dials up Marcy on his super cool flip phone, you can see some of his other contacts. These include Island Lady, Gunther, Abracadaniel, and even Animal Control. Number 39. Simon continues to be voiced by Tom Kenny, who played the Ice King in Adventure Time. Kenny is also famous for voicing SpongeBob SquarePants. Once you hear it, you can't unhear it. Number 40. Inside Simon's brain, a Golb charm can be seen dangling from an electric cliff. This suggests that Simon, despite being normified, remains connected to Golb, the chaotic deity. Number 41. This also hints at Simon's yearning to reunite with Betty, who became fused with Golb. His sneaky rituals in the back room of his enclosure definitely show his desire to do so. Number 42. Choose Goose is back, but he's strangely maniacal this time around. Simon keeps him around as a spell battery, but he's gonna get some good rhyming burns in. He also gets a good electrical burn in. Number 43. Two ducks steal money from Marshall Lee's guitar case in the opening sequence, a quick reference to the two-headed duck from the original Adventure Time opening. Number 44. The two-headed duck makes a comeback in episode 3. When Cake is falling down from the city in the sky, the double-domed creature quickly bites her. Number 45. The squirrel with the cursed apples is voiced by Mark Maron. He's played this role before, but is also known for his stand-up comedy, TV roles, and even a part in Joker. Number 46. The marketplace that sells magic strawberries sells a whole lot more than just that. Taking a closer look at the signage reveals such wonderful ateliers as Stuff I Found in Old Wells, Fermented Pinecone Juice, Have You Seen My Bones, Yesterday's Prophecies, and Knives. Honestly, nicer than my local farmer's market. Number 47. The phone number that Fiona puts on her Have You Seen This Portal posters is 555-0145. Unsurprisingly, this is a fake number, and calling it will get you nowhere. Sorry. Number 48. Some old school Adventure Time slang makes its way into the show. Fiona lets loose a holy schmauzow when she first gets on Astrid's flying bike thing. Number 49. As Astrid and Fiona soar through the sky, citizens of the Fire Kingdom can be seen hanging out on the fields below. Number 50. Speaking of Astrid, she's voiced by Audrey Bennett. Number 51. Fionna and Cake returns us to a relatively new Adventure Time location, the Drift. This decrepit space station has housed aliens, humans, and more throughout history, and was first introduced to fans in the first episode of Distant Lands, BMO. This time, we see a bounty hunter of sorts take down a wayward cosmic entity. Number 52. The bounty hunter turns out to be Scarab, a god auditor. He's got a whole list of cosmic entities that need to be taken care of. While scrolling towards Prismo, we catch a glimpse of some of the other fugitives, including Voidcaster, Caged Dude, and Martin Mertens, aka Finn's dad. His violation? Desertion. So classic. Number 53. When Wyatt accidentally misuses his wish for some peace and quiet, he ends up tied to some train tracks with his ex-wife Tree Trunks barreling towards him on a train. This is a reference to an old trope of damsels in distress being tied to tracks in silent films. Interestingly enough though, this trope is misremembered. It didn't really happen all that often in silent films. There was the case of Snidely Whiplash pulling this stunt, but that was from a full-color and voice-acted cartoon. Number 54. They commit to the gag regardless. There's even silent film title cards to give us dialogue, complete with ooh film at the bottom of each. Number 55. Peppermint Butler makes a triumphant return, flying in on a plane and lassoing the runaway train before it can smush Wyatt. Number 56. Prismo reveals a lot of quick updates as he checks up on Ooo from his magical TV. Huntress Wizard is still doing her thing, Princess Bubblegum is opening up a candy orphanage, Peppermint Butler is sharing a milkshake with Blaine, and Susan Strong is still really strong. Number 57. He also reveals some other universes, like Farm World and the world of Flapjack. Good shout out. Number 58. Throughout the series, there's a recurring motif of golden eyes. They appear in Fiona's bedroom, the spider's tattoo parlor, and prominently on the floating chicken dragon island, or I guess they're cockatrices. Number 59. Looks like Jake is getting older, as evidenced by Prismo's channel surfing. While fighting off cockatrices on the floating island, Finn has to remind Jake to use his powers, and also Jake's looking pretty scrungly. Number 60. Simon Petrikov is all sorts of caked up. Just saying. This is a fact that cannot be denied and cannot be avoided. Number 61. Lemongrab and his lemon people sound a bit different this time around. Justin Roiland is no longer the voice of Lemongrab. That role is now played by Jinx Monsoon. Number 62. Turns out the Ice King didn't come up with Fionna and Cake himself, as was implied in some earlier episodes of Adventure Time. Instead, Prismo made them up and then hid the universe inside of Ice King's big crazy brain. Number 63. Prismo brings back some old Prismo gems as well, including his mortal self and Prismo's pickles. Looks like he's even expanded production on those briny little cukes. Number 64. While in a huge field of corn, Cake takes the form of a UFO and starts knocking over stalks, an action akin to creating crop circles, the flattening of crops often attributed to supernatural forces, usually extraterrestrials. Crop Circles is also a song by Odile, check it out. Number 65. The corn world turns out to be more than just corn, it's actually farm world. These days it's given off a real Mad Max vibe, post-apocalyptic road loot for the win. Number 66. I'm not kidding when I say there's a Mad Max vibe either. Fiona's looted costume includes a right shoulder pad, just like Mel Gibson's titular character in 1979. Number 67. The designer bag Fiona finds amidst the wreckage is a Vespucci, not a real brand, but probably a play on Gucci. Amerigo Vespucci was an Italian explorer whose name actually serves as the basis of America. Number 68. In farm world, everyone seems to be repurposing what's left over from the before times. This is especially true when it comes to clothing. People are wearing floppy disks, people are wearing tires, people are wearing fenders and stripped computer monitors. It's very fashion forward and a nice nod to post-apocalyptic tales. There's no sheen in the future. Number 69. By the tire yard, there's a flower growing out of a basement window. Written on the leaves are the words, "Me help." One can only assume that this was supposed to be "help me" and there was somebody trapped down there. They're probably beyond saving now as the flower has since grown to full height. Tragic. Number 70. Destiny isn't just the name of the 5th episode, it's also the name of a character you probably forgot about. No, not you, I know you remember Big Destiny. Big Destiny is back in charge of Farm World as leader of the Big Destiny gang. Doesn't look like he's changed much either. Destiny gang rules! Number 71. Fiona's backpack has Finn's busted up flute in it. She shows it off while trying to bargain for a crown with Farm World's human Choose Goose, aka Choose Bruce. Number 72. Ever notice how Fiona doesn't have a nose? Yeah, well, you're not alone, but Big Destiny's son does notice. Farm World folks have noses and other people seem to not. Number 73. Farm World Finn seems to have done quite well for himself. He's got a litter of kids and lives separate from the chaos of the Mad Max side of things. Number 74. Simon refers to the soup served up at supper time as a soup of Theseus. This is a reference to the ship of Theseus, a thought experiment that asks if you keep replacing parts to a ship over time, and if you eventually completely replace each original part, does it still remain that original ship? Or is it something new? So is this soup really the same one that their mother started on the day she died? Number 75. When Jay Mertens and Young Destiny explain their secret romance, Cake gets excited when she hears that their tale is one of enemies to lovers. This is a common trope in romance and, by extension, fanfiction. Number 76. Farm World's Finn still has his mule, Bartram, first introduced in the Adventure Time episode Finn the Human. He's just as stoic and radical as ever, still going by Barbar. Good thing he didn't get sold way back when. Number 77. At the end of each episode, Fiona and Cake both dream the same dream. Fiona's is just a little bit bigger than Cake's. Oh, how sweet. Number 78. As Cake glides through the Ice Palace, she swings by a room featuring a little girl playing an axe bass. It looks like Marceline, but she appears to be made from ice, akin to the Ice Scouts. Number 79. Bubblegum Princess is the candy queen in Winter King's world, and she's just as loony, if not loonier than the Ice King himself. Just look at those awful, awful banana guards. Good lord. Number 80. Her song, Baked with Love, is written by Brian David Gilbert. Number 81. The creepy little lick she plays after letting Simon know that the whole blender thing isn't a metaphor is Toccata and Fugue in D minor, organ, by Bach. It's been heard in many different places and always accompanies some chaotic evil. Number 82. There's a horrifically disfigured version of Gary P's pastry mention hanging out in Candy Queen's blender room. All the details are there, all the way down to the raspberry scarf. Number 83. Gary P's baking experiments go beyond just biscuit dudes. There's also a little donut man, a strawberry friend, a cinnamon bun fella, and more. Number 84. In fact, all of his baked goods are forms of Candy Kingdom citizens from Adventure Time. Cupcake Man, the Marshmallow Kids, the works. Number 85. Gary also starts to explain the origins of Mr. Cupcake's romance with Chocoberry, which appears to be an exact retelling of the very first episode of Adventure Time, Slumber Party Panic. Number 86. In the Baby universe, Baby Finn joins in on a classic Adventure Time fist bump between Simon and Fionna. Of course, this is a shout out to all of the great fist bumps throughout the series, but it can also be seen as a little throwback to Finn's Buff Baby song and dance. He can puncture your buns and he'll do it for fun. Number 87. Cake transforms a very funky hat onto her head while talking about slaying vampires. This particular design is very similar to that in many depictions of Van Helsing, vampire slayer of lore. Number 88. Speaking of specialty vampire slaying, Bonnie's got a wall full of steak-based weapons inside of her Peppermint Butler tank. We're talking steak shuriken, double stakes, sword stakes, curved stakes, ring stakes, and even hammer stakes. They take this steak stuff seriously. Number 89. And you better take this stuff seriously. Finn's hero and all-around awesome dude, Billy, couldn't hack it in this world. His desiccated body can be found next to a rock reading Turn Back, absolutely perforated with vampire bites. Number 90. At Ms. Abadir's blood drive back in the human world, there's plenty of vampire imagery. Just look around that stained glass monstrosity. Number 91. But the big reference at the blood drive charity event comes in the form of a Ricardio mascot character. Remember that scoundrel from the episode of the same name? Number 92. In the same shot that you get a good look at Ricardio, there's also the Magic Man's hat, hanging from a candlestick/coat hook. Number 93. In a flashback, Simon discusses some antique items in a presentation. He didn't actually find any of these items in his adventures as an antiquarian, but is excited about them nonetheless. These pieces are all things that Adventure Time fans will recognize. First off, there's the Armor of Zeldron, the hilarious and heavy impervious armor that allows the user to fly. Finn found this armor after seeing Sir Slicer and all of his armored compatriots in sweet sets and feeling a little jealous. Number 94. Next up on Simon's presentation is the Wand of Disbursement. This is a magical item used by Grob Gob Globgrod to take someone's soul and send it across the cosmos. Either that or the 37th Dead World. Number 95. Then there's the Porcelain Lamb Relic. This has a cursed gem in the center of it and stole Finn's and Ice King's faces for a bit. That's a fun throwback. Number 96. Of course, the Enchiridion is also mentioned in his presentation, but nobody takes it seriously. The Lich would have taken it seriously. Number 97. In the Dead World, Bimo wears a mask that is very similar to the face of the Cosmic Owl. Number 98. The Cosmic Owl also pops up on the Scarab's Bounty Hunter board, but he ignores the call to keep hunting down Fionna and Cake. Number 99. If you look closely during the Good Times tape that Bimo puts in their butt, you can see that the Ice King becomes a skeleton for a couple of frames after attempting to kick Gunther. Number 100. In the piles left behind the Melted Ice Kingdom, there is a whole bunch of ninja stuff. From books like Cool Jutsu and Ninja Guidebook to weapons like sais and katana. This takes us right back to the Adventure Time episode, The Chamber of Frozen Blades, where Jake, Finn, and the Ice King engage in ninja combat. Number 101. As the squad leaves the Melted Ice Kingdom, Fionna looks toward the Ice King's busted up drum set. Inside the kick drum, what appears to be the tip of the Ice King's crown can be seen, but it's not immediately confirmed. However, the Ice King does specifically mention his crown being inside of the kick drum during the tape, and then for the rest of it, he isn't wearing it. Number 102. Betty's student ID is YCP5547. If you know what that means, let me know down in the comments. Number 103. Simon and Betty's song is called Everything in You by Half Shy. Number 104. Cake can be heard humming this tune throughout her adventure in Ooo, which makes sense since she used to live inside of Simon's head. Number 105. Orbo's voice actor is recognizably Australian. In fact, it belongs to an Australian cattle dog, or maybe a blue heeler. Yep, Orbo is voiced by David McCormack, best known as Bandit on the hit show Bluey. Number 106. Fionna and Cake seem to have some anti-magic properties. Cake accidentally transforms one of the hot dog knights into a regular hot dog. This transformation is accompanied by a rainbow of colors reminiscent of Prismo's transportation magic. There's also that whole thing with the Winter King. Awkward. Number 107. The world they visit in the episode Jerry is very, very similar to the Ooo from Adventure Time, but in this universe, the Lich won. The consequences are about as dire as you would expect. It's nice to see that BMO can still stay positive through it all. Football, however, is nowhere to be found. Holy schmauzow, that is a lot of facts. And the thing is, we've still got 2 episodes to go. Keep an eye out for episodes 9 and 10, Casper and Nova and Cheers. Should be wild. How do you think the bar-based sitcom factors into everything? There's still plenty to be discovered, so I hope you're ready. What time is it? Adventure time. Make sure you like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe if you want more fun facts like this. Remember, Frederator loves you.